The Summer Cash Giveaway is going on now at Food Bazaar Supermarket. Enter by downloading the Food Bazaar Rewards app or visiting an in-store kiosk. No purchase necessary. Save big, win big with the Summer Cash Giveaway at Food Bazaar Supermarket. For details, visit foodbazaar.com. And be sure to check out our newest Food Bazaar, located at 2784 Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn.
It's Superhero, and you're listening to Inspirado Projecto.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Inspirado Projecto. The episode you are about to hear is titled Spirit Chief, because this is the way that I felt as I was talking to this Uber driver. He started dispersing lots of wisdom, and that is why this cover is the way that it is. I imagine myself driving with this very wise Native American who had been through a lot. So, ideally you can hear it okay. Everything is crispy for you. And thank you, by the way, Superhero, for the amazing promo for the opener there. And without further ado, here we go.
And they take a kid, and the mom asks, like, if she wants to defend the kid, but now she can't. She's overpowered by these people. At that point, the mom can do anything about him. That already gets in your mind. Mom's now here to protect you.
Oh my gosh. So the elders come in and they go, we're going to teach you.
Away. No, they take him away.
Oh.
They don't say we're going to take him away for a year.
Oh.
And within that year, they teach him to love. They teach him to protect, and they teach him how to be human.
Wow.
And after a year, they come back to the village, to the community. But now, there's no kid anymore.
Wow. That is so interesting.
That's the process of initiation of men. In the Middle Ages, 1500s, 1600s, they used to, or the Greeks do, they used to take the kids. They'll put out it's a mirror. And in front of the mirror, there was a face, there were an older man. And so they say, okay, we're going to show you something that you need to learn, about yourself. And so they'll take this kid, they sit him in this chair. The kid doesn't know that there's a mirror, that there's a mask. And when they see themselves in the mirror, all they see is this old face.
Oh.
And that shocks them.
Oh, wow.
And like, oh, what the fuck?
Wow.
So that kills the kid.
Whoa.
It's a lot of stories like that, though.
That's amazing.
Those books.
Real quick, can you just turn that down a little bit? I want to hear more of what you're saying, because you're saying some great stuff here. So with the mirror, is there another guy back there behind it? Like, it looks like a mirror? And so or is it a mask? Or
there's a mask on top of him. And here's the mirror. But the mirror is positioned in a way that when you look at it, it will reflect the mask.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the shock. They're like, wow, that's me. I'm going to be an older man, so I better,
That's incredible.
No kid. That's the idea, but Joseph Campbell is the one that was telling the story. And he goes, but if, let's say that you've been told, hey, they're going to take you to this room, they're going to tell you that look at the mirror, but you're not looking at yourself, you're looking at this mask, it's not going to do anything to you.
Yeah, it's got to be a surprise. This is interesting what you're talking about, because it goes back to that old phrase, the village raises the child, right? And imagine those villages, if they're all treating all the kids in that neighborhood as if they were their own child. Oh my gosh, then they're going to go, Johnny was throwing bottles at the building again. You're in trouble. I saw what you did, and you can't get away with that. And I love that accountability factor.
And with those villages, it's not like, okay, now you're going to get punished. No, the message is now you're ready.
Now you're ready.
Because you're acting up.
Oh boy. Interesting. Interesting.
It's not like it's punishing. It's like, oh, he's ready.
Oh my gosh. So So this is interesting then. Do you think that the kids who return from their training, do you think that they keep that as a secret to the other kids who are
do.
juveniles? You know, and so are there any legends that are going on with these some kids knowing like, look, if you act up, they're going to take you away, or is it a surprise?
Just remember that now you're a man.
Oh my gosh!
And you're gonna protect the village.
Oh,
And that you're protecting the kids.
oh wow! Incredible.
That's the whole thing. Like you're changed. You're not analyzing. Now you're protecting.
Wow.
So you're protecting these 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and they're acting out. They're having fun. Mom is defending, and you know, it's so cool. Until you start doing shit that you're not supposed to.
Oh boy.
Which is, well, dirty.
Jeez, you're so right.
You
You are
know?
so right.
That's what I got from this book, and I'm like, wow. And it takes me back to my childhood. When did I become unmatchable?
Oh,
You know, it was 12. And I remember I was like, fuck. And I remember, for me, it was different.
Hi, this is Jay Asaang from Twin Peaks: The Return. You're listening to Inspirado Projecto.
Because I totally rebelled against my dad. Like he used to try to hit me, I always run. But this time, in particular, I was 12, and for some reason, I couldn't get out of the house.
so you had to face the consequence.
And he hit me once across my back. He's in front of me, he hits me once with the belt. And I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything, I just stood there. Couldn't cry. I was mad because I thought I didn't deserve it. Right? So I'm upset now, and I couldn't get out of it. And I just stood right there looking at him. And I remember just looking at him and say, "Is that all you got?"
And what does that mean?
"Is that all you got? Like, I just gonna hit me once, that's it.
Oh,
Is all that you got?"
oh, is that all you got? You said. Oh my gosh.
And my dad just stood there. And he got out of the way, and I left. And that was it from
And then from that moment forward, you started to kind of be a little more.
up.
Oh, you kept acting up.
Yeah, well, now I can do whatever I want. No
Yeah.
consequences. So now I come back at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. I wasn't doing crazy shit. I wasn't robbing, I wasn't getting in trouble, but I was just acting up.
Man, it's
And-
interesting.
So at that point, if the story that I told you wouldn't apply, the guys will come back for me and be like, "Motherfucker, oh yeah, let's go."
Oh boy.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But that wasn't in there. So I continued my bullshit until I was 16, 16 and a half, and I left home.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I was gone, came here to this country.
Oh, so you kind of ran away from home, huh? Wow.
So I came to this country, and right away I was like, what the fuck did I do? Because over there I was in school. I have everything. I never have to work.
See, now you're like, oh, I got to pay bills now. You know, I got to.
I don't have to sustain myself. And so I wasn't grabbed and taken to it. I would throw myself into it to become an adult. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I throw myself into it. And now it's like, once I'm in there, I was thinking back then, I was like, wow, I think I should just go back and finish school and don't deal with all this bullshit. But then I met someone, my friend Hugo, at a restaurant that I was working. And I remember like can I tell you the story?
Oh yeah, please. This is interesting. I like this. I love stories.
I'm doing dishes right at Shakey's Pizza.
Uh-huh.
And I'm busy, and I heard this guy complaining about his homework. And I'm just like, can I continue to work? And then he kept complaining, banging the back at the table. And then I turned around and I said, what's going on? And he goes, oh man, this fucking phone where I don't understand anything. And I'm like, what is it? And he goes, well, it's math. And I'm good at math. Right? So I turned around and I said, let me see it. And he looked at me and he goes, the fuck? You don't know shit. You're the fucking dishwasher. You know? That's the way he looked at me. And I started looking, not really looking at the problem. And I was like, oh, this is an equation. And I started looking at it, I started putting the numbers down. I was like, well, this is so we did it, and I think they're asking you for this. And he looked at me, he goes, how the fuck do you know that? I'm like, oh, I was in school in Mexico, you know, it's just like pretty much on the way, and here I am. And he was saying, why aren't you at school over here? And I'm like, because I'm here by myself. I don't know anything about it. You know, I mean, I'm from Mexico. And he goes, can you translate? I'm like, what's transcript? You know, he goes, oh, you know, he tells me in Spanish what it is. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I asked for them and I got enrolled in high school over here. And so I finished my high school over here. But when I decided that I was going to go to school, I was like, I'm going to get in and I'm going to finish. I'm not just going to go in there for 2-3 months and then leave. I'm like, I'm going to fucking finish this thing. So 2.5 years later, I graduated, you know, but it was hard. It was waking at 6 a.m., wait for the bus, take you to school, get off of school, take the bus to home, get home, change, go to work.
Well, every day it was like that?
Every day was Monday to Friday.
How did you find time for homework?
The bus.
Oh, you did all your homework on the bus?
On my way to home.
So you learned how to maximize your time.
So I learned to, like, from 3 to 4 that I get home, I had to finish this. Whoa. And then from, let's say I started working out at 5 to 8, and then I get my lunch, I'll eat, and I finish the rest.
Whoa.
And then I go home at 12:30, go to sleep, take a shower, go to sleep, and then wake up and like wash myself. Let's go. So now I look back, and as you will tell me, do you want to do it? I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
Fuck no. You know? No way. Because my 6th period of my last year, I was, oh man, sleeping on the desk. No, get this. This is funny to me. A month before I graduated, my friend, he goes, I by that time I had my moped, and my friend goes, hey, can you give me a ride home? And I was like, yeah, sure. So he gets on my bike, on our motorcycle. We go up to these hills, and they're in a beautiful home. And I was like, how do you live over here? You know, what's going on? And he goes, I said, are you rich? And he goes, no, this is my promoter, or like someone that was helping him. He goes, this is the doctor's home, and we live with him. And we're being with him for the past 2 years. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, if you go to your counselor, you tell them what's going on, your situation at home, or you don't have a phone, they'll find someone for you to help you. And so you go live with them, you know, and that way you can be taken care of. You can concentrate in school.
Did you try it?
It's a month before I graduated.
So you thought, oh gosh, well, I wish I would have learned this a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
So what was the first thing? So when you came out here, I mean, you know, you're talking about where you lived, you talk about your motorcycle. Where the heck did you live when you first came out here? Did you have at least a little bit of money or something? I mean, what did you do?
I came with some friends. There was 3 of us. We came to LA, and from LA, the guy that we went to the south, he goes, you know, you can stay here. We're gonna take you to your aunt and wait here.
Oh, you have an aunt out here?
I didn't know. So I was like, you know, so they took me away here. I was there a couple of days, and then my cousin came. And my cousin goes, you know, they don't want you over here. I'm gonna have to take you somewhere else. I was like, all right. So picture this. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, 14 guys in it.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys have a bunch of bunk beds, or how'd you do that? No bunk beds?
Yeah, sleeping on this floor,
Whoa.
cocaine, weed, gin. Everything was going on in that place. Cocainers. And I'm 3 days into this country, right?
Whoa.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
This must have been a very strange change of events for you, right? I mean, this is...
Well, hasn't from the moment that I left home until 3 days being here, I was like, what the fuck? Because I get to see everything, like good people that are just abusive, people that are, trying to help you, and people that they don't give a shit about it. Oh, you there? Okay, cool. It's like, what do you, and I think like at those times I was like, okay, this is unusual. It's like, this is not what I expected. But I was like, okay, gotta deal with it. So I only stayed there for I think a month or 3 weeks. And after that, one of the guys that was living in that apartment, he goes, hey, do you want to get an apartment? We just get home and split that up. The rent goes like, sure. This all 1988, 650 pounds when they're making an apartment.
Oh my gosh.
And I was making, I don't know, $350 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
But I had a place to stay. I can't go to sleep. I had a job, and I was in school. So I was like, I'm crazy. But the reason I'll tell you all this is because remember you had to change.
Mm-hmm.
You had to become an adult. So I got myself so into it. But most guys need someone to get them for grabbing and say, here we go. This
It's
is
true.
life. This is life. It's not that. This is it.
It's interesting, as that old phrase goes, it says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? So this, in a sense, was the teacher for you. You left, and then you're like, holy cow, look at how much I'm learning here. And you had to become that responsible
How I
guy.
become responsible. And I think that's what a lot of these kids are missing.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be responsible, and then you gotta take care of the village. It's not about being tough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be tough when it's being required.
Yeah.
Not just because you wanna show people that you are.
Right. Right.
And
Right. it takes too much energy to, because then that's that fight or flight response. Then it's like, no, if we're always in the hunting mode or the running away from the tiger mode, it puts a lot of stress, anxiety. It's unneeded, and
some wiring has problems with these kids these days.
wow.
Stress and anxiety. I'd like you say too much to hear alone. And that's what I noticed. I'm like, wow. This is hard to live that way.
It is. It takes too much energy. It's just, it's so funny. I've just learned that when you're authentic, you come across other authentic people, That's why we're in the car today. The universe kind of goes, here we go. We're going to pair these people together. And we're kind of reflections of each other from different, those different perspectives. Yeah. And so it's very interesting how that works when you're very authentic. It doesn't take energy. And in fact, you can go a much farther distance when you're guided by intuition, excitement, joy, and curiosity. And you go, oh, what's over there? And it pulls you instead of you trying to push towards it or fight through the crowd to get there. You notice that?
I don't know if you heard, because this just came to my mind right now, but you only become, or you can only obtain everything once you lose everything.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can only live once you die.
Yes.
And I heard that so many times. as a kid, I had those moments when I was gone. Very sick all the time, just feeling shitty and on bed for weeks and weeks. And I think I could see myself from up here laying down on bed and been thinking, what's going on? What am I doing down there? And then through the years, lately I learned, that's disassociation. You look at yourself from another perspective, but that's when you died. And I was like, that I was dead, but I could see myself down there.
So you're talking about maybe like astral projection, or so you were sort of accidentally doing astral projection, huh?
Doing that as a kid. Whoa! So I'm telling you that because I always like I left Mexico and something happened. I was like, that's not a big deal. But it was always like, that's not a big thing. Well, I'll be okay. Somebody leaves that I love, and I'll be okay. I will meet someone else. My favorite example is like my team, by football team, like soccer team, loses the final. And I'm like, let's see. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When I started to see other people here just crying because of that, we just trying to kill themselves because somebody left. Maybe. And I was like, why? So, shit, that's not true. But I know that I learned those things. It was just the way I see everything. And I was like, it's nothing.
Well, and that's interesting that you're saying that, because the other part of the phrase, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, the other part of that is when the student is taught, the teacher leaves. So in a sense, each person in our life, as you know, is a teacher to us. So let's say whether it's a girlfriend, whether it's, we've all had our favorite animals, pass away, or relatives. And, so that's, kind of hard for us to go through. And it's interesting because now at that moment you realize, okay, what are all those things that I learned from that person while they were here, and how now can I honor them? How now can I respect those teachings through my own actions, and now give that gift, to the world, so to speak.
So my ears is not like it, but now I can intellectualize those things, right? But back then I was just like, but because of that attitude, I was told that I didn't give a shit about anything, and I didn't care about anything. Because I was so fucking, like cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I used to think, fuck, maybe they're right. Because I don't feel like they do. I don't act like they do. And they all seem to be acting this way. And that took me on to learn about human behavior. I was like, I want to know. I want to get better. Because if I'm a fucking so cold and don't care about anything, I want to know why. What can I do to change that? And as I started learning, I was like, oh, I'm not fucked up. They are fucked up.
Isn't it crazy how, there's this funny saying that says, you're sane in a crazy world, and what's interesting is when you come to that realization, that's the mark of a true philosopher right there, someone who is following their own heart rather than what the outside, the outside squawking is trying to tell you to do, or kind of shoehorning, trying to fit you into something. And that's interesting because I love human behavior. I love the psychology of things. I love finding, okay, what's the root behind this action? Here we see a branch, but that's coming from somewhere. I remember I had that revelation a long time ago, and then I started seeing examples of it in my life. I started seeing that as a metaphor where I remember, I'd be out in the front yard and I'd mow the lawn or whatever, and my mom would say, okay, now water the trees and water the plants. And I'd be shooting the I'd be shooting the hose up into the trees. And she said, no, you have to water the root. And that just kept turning over and over in my brain throughout my life. Every once in a while I return to that and I go, whoa, that absolutely makes sense. This person is acting out this way because of why. Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they're tired. You know, there's something that's causing that thing.
Have you studied Hinduism?
Not deeply, but one of my favorite philosophers is Alan Watts, and he talks a lot about Buddhism and Hinduism. So anything that I know is just through what I've heard him talk about. What, do you study Hinduism?
Yeah, I do. But what came to mind right now is like out of darkness, everything comes, and through darkness, everything goes back to.
That is a great way of putting it.
And so it's exactly what you just said, you know. It's what are the roots? Because we don't see the roots, but we see what's going on over here.
Yeah.
And in Hinduism, they say, you know, Kali. Kali is the god. But Kali is the black god. It's darkness.
Yeah.
And Kali will come and take everything. And from Kali will come back again. Wow. But it's singularity. The galaxy, black hole, it takes everything down, but then it comes back again.
Incredible. Which goes hand in hand with reincarnation as well.
Reincarnation, cycles of time, you know, creation. And so when I heard that, I'm like, oh shit. Then you know, what you were saying right now, it's like, yeah, it's all related. It's all the same story. It's just a metaphor, you know, myth for what's going on, what's coming up. Carl Jung, I don't know if you ever seen Carl Jung.
Yeah.
He has the anima. I don't know if you've seen the diagram that he has, where he has the self as a circle.
No.
And then he represents the soul as a little bright color in the middle. And from there he goes and divides the ego, which is the conscious mind. And now the unconscious mind is the anima. And what's the anima? It's all the stuff that you unlearn throughout your life. And how do you learn those
interesting
things? Through your society, family, teachers, friends. So they all teach you something, and you represent those things in your mind. You give them a minute, but you don't know that they're there.
They're kind of silently back there.
Until something happens.
Yeah.
And you react to it.
This is Man Behind the Machine, and you are listening to Inspirado Projecto Radio.
And all my problems, all my happiness, everything that I think is good or bad comes from right there.
It's very interesting how that is, huh?
Now, if something is bothering me, you said a while ago, if something is bothering me, you know, I need to know what is it.
Is it?
So it's right there.
And that, of course, ties into getting to the root of it, right? And you go, why am I acting this way? Oh, and all of a sudden it goes, ding, ding, ding. Oh, wow. I remember when I was 8 years old, I almost fell off the tree or something, you know? Now that's why I'm scared of heights. Oh, that's why, you know? And you could kind of trace it.
And now you can go in for NLP.
Wait, hold on. Did you just say NLP?
Yeah.
I can't believe you brought up NLP because I was going to bring up NLP earlier. Oh my gosh, dude. NLP, wow. My friend and I, we first came across NLP from a book called Instant Rapport, and it was by a guy named Michael Brooks, and it was the basis, just the base of it, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, right? Those were the main ones. And you could tell what kind of person leads with one of those based on, you know, they're using a lot of visual words, and you're like, okay, that person is visual. Kinesthetic, like, oh, I just feel this way. You know, all that stuff. But then there are all those eye-accessing cues. So you can tell if someone's lying or not, if they're pulling from memories or if they're inventing something, you know, and if how they're feeling about something, or if it's interesting. And when I was really studying that, I felt like a Jedi because I was going to college at that time, and everybody was my experiment. Everybody was my subject, and I felt comfortable around everybody. And it was interesting because, oh my gosh, I could tell when someone, based on where their eyes were going, I could tell whether the next word they're going to use was a visual word, or whether the next word they're going to use was an auditory word, or whether the next word was a feeling word. It was so interesting. Oh my gosh. And then you could speak in their language. Oh my gosh! And then reflections, and you do the mirroring too, right? Where you sit at a this is how I would get rapport with people. You're sitting at the diner. There was a diner we go to. So if they're scratching the side of their face, maybe you play with the side of your hair, on the opposite side, or they cross their legs. You cross, right? And you know about yeah.
So did you read about on time, back time, or further?
What are those?
That's with NLP too. So when you meet up someone in the way they present their problems to you, they're gonna talk on the ways of their present moment is their problem, or their problem is in the past, or their problem will be in the future. And that's what they're suffering right now. So now you learn how to address it. On time, like it's right now. They're telling you the past and the problem is affecting right now. Or they're telling you about their future and the problem is affecting.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So how do you, this is interesting. Let's say if you're talking to someone, because I know some friends who are always worried about like, oh gosh, I'm so worried. I'm so anxious that this terrible thing might happen and that terrible thing may happen. And I go, hold on a second. That future has not yet arrived. Let's just see how it plays out. Maybe we can allow for the possibility of something good. Let's allow for the possibility of something good to come in. What happens then? But then they default back to that mode. How do you, because this is the first time I'm hearing about exactly what you're talking about.
Never contradict him.
What? Say what?
Never contradict.
Okay, so how do you
listen to what they had to say, and then your answer will be okay. I guess in the future you can also do this. I guess in the future you can also have this option. Instead of saying, wait a minute, and just go against them.
Oh my gosh, this is going to help out so much. You are teaching. See, the teacher appears. Oh my gosh, dude. The teacher appears. Oh my gosh, dude.
Do you know Richard Bandler?
Richard who?
Bandler.
No, I don't know that guy.
Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they're the creators of NLP.
Okay.
And so, I guess this moment was all this learning that I've been doing for the past 3 weeks comes to this. No, I'm just kidding, but I've been listening to it a lot.
That is good.
And so I keep listening, and what he says is like, look, NLP, if you learn the techniques on NLP, and you think that that's what's gonna help you help other people, you're mistaken. He goes, because everyone is different. Every situation is different, and every problem is different. So NLP is not a technique, it's a technology. And now the technology, you're gonna use it. You're gonna be flexible in how you're gonna use it. Because you gotta remember that you got a mismatcher, he calls them bipolar. When you tell them something, and then right away they find what's not good about it.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's a mismatch,
yes.
And that's a bipolar. And he goes, with those people, you just gotta say, okay, tell me about that. And now they don't have a little option but to explain to you why they say no to what you just told them.
Oh my gosh.
And while they're talking, they're gonna learn more about why they're acting this way.
This is so, oh my God. You're giving me such golden nuggets of wisdom here.
It's amazing, isn't it?
With my spirit guide for this trip, I'm going to take these pieces of golden nuggets and apply them to the future. This makes so much sense, and it makes so much sense. And it's so funny because when I would explain that, the little bits of NLP that I studied, which was just the simple, I-axis and cues, the language we're using and stuff like that, people would go, oh, I do that just natural anyway. And I go, yes. However, I'm simply explaining to you how the mechanics of what you're already doing, how it works, and now now you got your eyes on it. Now you know how that works. You know that you're already kind of subconsciously doing that. Now you know how you can actually use those tools how you want in the future. These are aspects I never even encountered before. So, oh my gosh.
The technique for NLP is like, you got to be flexible in how you want to use it. You know, because you got a mismatcher. He calls them bipolar. When you tell them something, and they're right away they find what's not good about it. Right? That's a mismatch, and that's a bipolar. And he goes, with those people, you just got to say, okay, tell me about that.
Oh my gosh.
The technique for NLP is like, if let's say that you have something that is bothering you, right? I just learned this too. But yesterday I have a lady that picked her up at a hospital, and right away, we start talking. They just telling me about her illness. They call, it's more than just the illness, just all these things that are going on with her. And I was like, you should be simple. Richard Bonder. And she goes, why? I said, well, it's NLP, but he has some techniques that can help you with everything that you just telling me right now. And she goes, what do you mean? Can you be more specific? I said, well, yeah, you're complaining about your life. And she goes, yeah, so you have all this problem. And she goes, yeah. So can I share the technique that he was using with the lady? And she goes, go for it. I said, all right. So you have a problem, right? She goes, yeah. I said, can you be specific about the problem? I said, I don't want to hear the problem. I just want to know if you know what's the problem is. And she goes, yeah. I said, okay. Now, is the problem in front of you? What's in the back? What's in the side? Or it's just the voice? And she goes, I can see the problem. I said, okay. How often you think about the problem? And the lady says, well, on the interview, right? The lady goes, 3-5 minutes here and there. He goes, okay, 3-5 minutes here and there. In an hour, how long do you spend thinking about this problem? And the lady goes, maybe in an hour, 3 or 4 times. And the guy goes, okay, let's say 3 minutes, 3 or 4 times in an hour. So it's 60 minutes divided by 3, how many times you're thinking about this problem in an hour. And let's say he goes, let's say that you spend 15 minutes in an hour thinking about this problem. He goes, how much or how long on a day this little problem occupies your space or your time? If we had 24 hours, 50 minutes, and an hour, how much is that?
More than someone wants to be carving time into. Oh my God.
I'm saying it's 50 minutes in an hour, and 4 hours is an hour. 6 times 4, 24. So you're spending about 5 hours a day. Oh, thinking about this problem. Right? So this lady is a successful lady because she's in this environment where she can pay thousands of dollars to go to the seminar. And the guy goes, this that is money. The lady goes, no. He goes, and you know what? I don't think it is either, but let's say that you're thinking about this problem. How long you been having this problem? And she goes, well, about 10 years. And he goes, well, in 10 years, and you have 5 hours in a day, how many hours are there in a week? And then it's 30, and then how many in a month? And then
really
doing
adds
this
up.
10 years is tens of thousands of hours that we're spending thinking about this problem. And the lady goes, yeah. And he goes, how smart is that? And so I'm telling this lady, and I can see her going through her mind at it too, And then she goes, I know where you're going with this. I say, well, good. But I said, so now that you know that there's spending all this time thinking about this problem and you're wasting 5 hours a day, let's say that you change it and you can use it to do something else. Something more perishable. Would that be smart? And the lady goes, yeah. Would you like to do that? Now
I like it. She's giving her the invitation.
She's going to have to say yes.
Uh-huh.
Right? Because she said no. How stupid are you?
Yeah, right.
Now she's going to have to say yes. She goes, all right. And then the Richard goes, okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to identify your problem. And she goes, yeah, I see it. And Richard goes, I can see that you see it. And then she goes, all right, how can you make this problem, this image that you have in your mind, real? And she goes, yeah, and so I'm watching this video, and when she does that, you can see her full body going down. That's a depressed woman, right? A depressed person, because she's enhancing this image.
Whoa.
And he goes, all right, that's enough. Also, okay, now, can you make smaller? But he asked first, how do you feel? When she was really bad. She goes, all right, can you make it smaller? You don't mind. And she goes, yeah. How do you feel? Not as bad. He goes, right. He goes, now, I would like to put some energy, some brightness around this problem that you already make small. He goes, can you do that? And I just like, having trouble, right? Like, imagine brightness around this little problem of this phone. It's like, put some brightness around it, some energy. And the lady goes, got it. He goes, good. Can you intensify the pressure of that energy around your problem? And he goes, have you ever been happy? Have you ever had some good times? I want you to put those in there, but intensify it. And make her, as if it intensifies, make her brighter. And she goes, okay, yeah, got it. She goes, all right, cool. Now, can you put some beautiful music around it, the music that you really like? Can you hear the sounds around it? She goes, yeah. This how? He goes, I like to touch it, but I like when you touch it, I want you to feel the texture of the fiber that you really, really like. And he goes, yeah. How does it feel? I want you to put some color on it, the most beautiful colors that you ever in. It's your favorite color. And she goes, because now it intensify one. Make it bigger, make it brighter, make it music louder. Everything is so great. Believe in this. He was all right. How did you feel? He goes, can I just? And he goes, yeah, but what about your problem? This was my problem.
I love it.
You know, and I tell this lady, you know, and she comes back and she tells me, yeah, but it's a lot of problems like that. I said, well, you don't have to take care of all of them at once, but you can grab one of them every day and take care of them. If you want. And she was, yeah. And I said, look, I'm not telling you that I'm talking to this lady, and now I'm like, I gotta tell you, I said, I was at this seminar with Anthony Robbins.
Anthony Robbins is another great one.
And we're doing all this exercise, you know, and we're going through problems, and he just described something similar to what I just told you. I said, but then he says, somebody says something like what you just said. And he actually said, well, you know, to be fair, you don't only have one problem. You probably have thousands of problems, right? And so why don't we just take care of all of them at once? And within the exercises, he goes, imagine that you're at home, you're ready to kill this problem. And then he goes, but you know that according to metaphysics, according to people, we have a spaceship for everyone in this world out there. We own a spaceship. And so that's the exercise, you know, he's describing the spaceship. He goes, imagine you're at home and you see your spaceship coming. And so you're imagining that spaceship's come. He goes, it's yours. Use it. It's get in it. And so now you're in your spaceship. And he was thinking, go. He goes, don't forget your problem.
Don't forget your problem.
Put it in a bag. And he goes, now let it go. Now you're going to stay in this beautiful one. And he goes, but then you have your problems. And also he goes, imagine that all your problems are on a cassette tape. And now you have these tapes all over the spaceship. He goes, grab one of those tapes, put it in the bag. Remember, this bag has all these beautiful surroundings and brightness and music, and it's beautiful. And he goes, put another one in it. It fits. It's your fucking mind. It fits. And then he goes, it's taking too much time. He goes, grab all of them and just put them in the bag. Why waste time, right?
Wow.
So we're doing the tested exercise, our eyes are closed, we're putting all this process in it. And he goes, now, go to the nearest sun that you can find in the space. And as you approaching it, you have your bag with all your problems, just put a knot on it. So no problem with escape. And he goes, now, as you're approaching the sun, it's time to go back, but you want to go back with all these problems? He goes, tell you what, open a fucking window, just toss them in the sun. And so now you have all these problems, you toss them out. How do you feel? You have no problems. And so on this exercise, I can hear Nicholas bawling. Oh, man. Just like, wow, but it's tears of like joyfulness. They're like, they feel free. They feel in peace.
Because they're all placing themselves in that shoe, in those shoes, and they're visualizing it too. My gosh.
And so now he goes, but here's another problem. A week from now, this is gonna start to like dissipate. He goes, so what you can do is feel shitty, or you can just do the whole thing all over again. And if you feel that you're going back with your old self, you can always do this again.
What a great exercise.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So this is 2008 for me, and I'm like, every time I start to feeling that, I'm like, okay, I can do that.
So you jump in a spaceship.
I jump into my exercise, and that's like, I feel chilly, and I'm like, somebody comes and like, oh, and it's like, okay. Because it's not such a thing like you're always gonna be in bliss. The ship comes, and you like reacting, but now And I always tell my friends, I say, look, I tell you all this shit, and now you know. Now, are you gonna let yourself feel shitty, so you feel self-pity and all, poor me? Or are you gonna do this shit and feel bad? Because now it's an option to feel bad.
Because when you're in that, just you telling me that, I feel so much more enlightened. And it's like, when you're in that mode, you can just take on stuff easier. And it's easier to see those synchronicities. It's easier to see when the omens and the signs are talking to you. And in fact, they appear a lot more because now you've opened up space for them to appear, huh? Wow.
Certainty is your gel, Deepak Chopra was saying this morning. Man, when you're very certain about something, you slave yourself into a commitment, into an idea. So he goes, let's be uncertain, let's be more flexible. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that was this morning with Deepak Chopra.
Dude.
And I'm like, wow. I'm learning all these things, and I'm like, okay, use it. And because, I always believe we're in here alone. We might get some support, but we're here by ourselves. Because there's no one 24/7 asking you how you feel.
It's interesting you're saying that. My Uncle Arnie used to have a whole bunch of great phrases, and one of them that he would say a lot is wherever you go, there you are, and I like to tell people, you're the only person who is required to hang out with you all the time. You can't escape yourself.
You can't for yourself.
So you might as well find ways of enjoying your own company, of appreciating your own gifts and talents, and your own, these were given to you. So do something with them. And then you start seeing all the extraordinary things that come about. And it's got to be a pure of heart. It's got to be an authentic thing. It cannot be a reversed engineered thing of like, okay, what does everybody else want to see? And then I'll do that. No, because then you're watering it down. It's generic. It's inauthentic. But when you're going, whoa, I feel this, I feel this, where's that coming from? And you just walk towards wherever that is, you find some very interesting things, I like to tell people I have a closer relationship with the invisible, with the universe as we know it, God, whatever you want to call it, than I do with just physical things that I see in front of me, because I have a whole inventory of times where I think of a particular thing and I'm going, oh, wouldn't that be neat if this happened? And then, boop, and then that happens throughout the day or throughout the month or something. And I have so many of these things stocked up in my brain that I cannot look back to a life of mundanity and go, this bad thing probably will happen. And it's like, I'm so excited about going, let's see what happens. Let's see what kind of possibilities come about that work in my favor. And, this is one of them. The fact that you're here, it's yet another sign. Wow, man.
I think that we can all learn something from each other.
Yeah.
There's another Carlos Castaneda.
Yes.
Man.
Oh gosh, reality. What is it? A Separate Reality? I read that one. I read A Separate Reality. I know he has a whole bunch of them though, right? Did you read all the books?
All of them.
Oh my gosh.
The Teachings of Don Juan is the first one. I think A Separate Reality is the second one.
How many of them are there?
12.
What?
Yeah. I got them all on audiobook.
Wow. So you're probably listening to them while you're driving
All
around.
the
That's
time.
the best. You're getting at that the precipitation of
the time.
delicious information. They just keeps going.
Yeah. All the time though. It's like Don Juan, like within the teachings, like the techniques, he starts talking about psychedelics and the experience of psychedelics. But then on the second book, The Separate Reality, he starts to go into the techniques, into like the shadows. Stopping the world, it says. What does that mean, stopping the world? And Don Juan says, well, you just gotta stop thinking about yourself. You gotta stop thinking about your self-importance and get rid of self-pity. Get rid of self-importance, get rid of self-pity. Once you do that, you'll get the energy to actually build them in and all to notice. Because all that you need is just energy. Not enough, but your energy gets dissipated while you're thinking about what somebody did or what's going on. Because your energy is like, it's getting away. Because you're thinking about it, it's the problems, how to protect this entity, and who you are, and how are you supposed to be, and what are you supposed to give, and what career you're supposed to have, and how can you reach someone else? It's just disappointing. He goes, but once you start getting it back, like get rid of the self-importance, get rid of the how this story just coming back. And the other exercise that it's similar to the Buddha or in this one, it's a technique for meditation, where you start to see, let's say, your day from the moment you go to sleep until the moment you wake up. And so you do that, but you do that with everybody that you ever met.
Interesting.
And so that's a technique that the Buddha teaches, taught within the Buddhism. So when you go to sleep and you start seeing that, but what we do, or what they teach on this book is like, you pick up every flex that you've been in touch with. And you go one by one, experiencing, not experiencing, but remembering the recopilation is called. Recopilation is like you start to see the interaction. And so you start with everybody that you ever had, including them, your mom, your dad, family. But you recopilate all the experiences that you're happening. And that's your meditation. All that's the same thing. It's like you start with your day, and then you go, let's say this morning. And the next day you go 2 days, and the next day you go 3 days before you go sleep. With them, it's not you sit down, you go to one person, and then you go to the next one, and you read the next one until you pretty much recopilate everyone. But once you do that, there's another technique where you just allowed spirit, they call. The allowed spirit to come to you and teach you or show you experiences in your life that you didn't even know they were there.
Incredible.
And it's like, that's the technique. Because you do that, and once you do that, you start to letting go of all those feelings that you have whenever it happens.
So how do you activate that meditation when you're thinking of these people? Are you thinking about just the interactions you've had with them throughout your whole life or throughout that day?
You all right? With the person.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, you and I talking right now.
Yeah.
So once a year you have some plans, you start to going back into this interaction with me. And who was before me? And then the person before that person.
Oh.
And so you make a list. You actually make a list of all the people that you interact with throughout your life. And then you go back to each one of them.
Whoa. I bet you'd start seeing a lot of interesting Venn diagrams there. A lot of crossover wisdom, right?
I'm driving and I'm like, something jumps in my mind and I'm like, over that now. And I like a thing, I remember it happened as a kid, but then all of them started to jump from it. The shit attention from the flying. But so the whole deal, I don't know if in the book that you read about Carlo, they talk about the ego.
Oh yeah, I know about the ego.
What the ego is like, the way to find somebody was the ego's peak is your awareness. So when you died, your awareness goes into this place that looks like an eagle.
Oh, the eagle.
The eagle.
Oh, the eagle. Okay, eagle.
It's your awareness. So when you get recycled, you don't remember shit right past life.
Interesting. That's why we wake up with that spiritual amnesia, right? Where we don't know what that past life was, huh?
So that's the truly.
Wow.
The ego, the morals, well, it's your awareness.
Wow.
So it goes when you become clean and you go back and experience your whole life, it's like you're creating a separate self. And now when you pass or when you're ready to go to the school, the ego will take your, how would you call it? When you create something else like artificial.
Like a clone?
Your clone or your...
A doppelganger or something? Or
something like that.
Like a copy?
They have another I work with. But let's say you're clone. Because you're creating a whole new experience. All on the same experience, but twice. It's like a mirror. Then you're here in this space, and we both now have the same memory. My whole thing, my whole awareness now it's right here too. And they say, so when you pass or when you're ready to go to the next adventure, the next step on the journey, the ego will take this awareness that you created and will let you pass
That
to
is
your next experience,
that is interesting.
which is not physical. Because now it goes into the astral world. And so you will leave with all your awareness. You don't actually die, you just leave.
So you're taking all that information back with you. So then maybe, because it's been said that when we fall asleep, we are traveling to those other guides, whether it's extraterrestrials or our ancestors or whoever, and we're kind of giving them the information that we've learned throughout the day so they can study kind of
So,
what's going on here,
you
right?
know who Nassim made this?
Was he the autobiography of a yogi?
No,
was
that's
it
Paramahansa.
Oh, gotcha. I don't think I know who
Nassim
Nasir.
Haramein is a physicist,
Oh,
independent. You love it. You gotta look for it.
wait, has he been in a couple of documentaries? Did you ever watch the Gaia Network? Okay.
That's he's in there.
Okay. Yeah, he talks about the planks.
Unifying the film.
Hi, it's Micky Dolenz here. You're listening to Inspirado Projecto.
Yeah, so I've seen him in a couple of different of these documentaries. Yeah.
So what he describes is like the energy on the universe and fractals is the same as the energy in the atom. It's 10 to the 34 orders of magnitude, something like that. So then the universe and the atom are just one on a different scale. It's the same, 10 to the 34 orders of magnitude. Now he goes, all the information of the universe, it's in every atom in the universe.
Incredible.
So now, the universe contains all this information, and what you do, you start to get all this information from the Akashic records, right? It's from the universe, from the atom. It was now, how does the universe know how to keep everything in order? How does the universe know that what you learn, you're gonna keep it? Or how the universe keeps evolving? And he says, because the universe grabs the information, takes it, and then speaks it back to you. So when somebody says you're creating your own world, it's actually true. Because you feed the information to the universe, and the universe feeds it back to you.
It's like a boomerang, huh? It's like an echo.
And then he goes, so how did this happen? He goes, okay, wormholes. What if you have a spaceship and you create a wormhole and you can appear in the next galaxy? He goes, that's actually real. And when you see the energy in the universe, and you think the energy of the galaxy is the same. Again, universe, galaxy, quartz is the same energy. So, singular is created, the information goes in there, and then it shows up somewhere else. So if that's true, he goes, now you have the atom, which has the same information of the galaxy or the universe, and it creates a wormhole, and the information goes through it, and it gets taken back. It's a torus, double torus. And so he goes, everything that you experience and you teach in the universe, and then the universe is giving it back to you. And that's how we can evolve. Now, the atom is nothing but empty space. It's just vibration. So what is this information? It's not in the material world, it's vibration. It's not like it's right here. It's everywhere. And so you can go and get this information. But you gotta go with him.
I've heard a lot about those Akashic records.
Yeah.
And I know a guy, I've met people on TikTok who, claim that they can access the Akashic records and all of that information is there. Have you heard about Dolores Cannon?
No.
I think you would like Dolores Cannon. She's, you'll see a bunch of videos of her on YouTube, but also she wrote a whole series. She's written a lot of different books, but one is called Convoluted Universe, and it's a series. And she and her husband got into hypnosis a long time ago, and for simple things like helping people overcome their smoking addiction or fear of spiders and stuff like that. So during one of the sessions, this woman, she was under hypnosis, she starts speaking in a different accent, like a New York accent. And this woman is a completely different character and talking about how she's a flapper, a dancer back in the 1920s, and she chain smokes. Okay, no wonder why this woman now has this smoking addiction. It's because her past life is still kind of attached and still held on there. But back then, when Dolores and her husband came across this, there was no word for past lives or reincarnation. Like, she didn't know about any of this stuff. So she realized that she had accidentally took the woman into a deeper level of hypnosis. From that moment forward, she started realizing, oh my gosh, this is how I can help people heal through going through this deep hypnosis. Let's say someone has a big headache. Okay, she takes that guy. All of a sudden now there's some guy from, his past life from the medieval times was, let's say, bludgeoned to death, beaten to death with a stick or something. And that's why, and this guy is holding this grudge, this past life, and that's why this guy is experiencing the migraines right now. So she goes, okay, I release you, basically. So through this, she started finding these different similarities and commonalities from different people she was helping in different regions. And so some of these people were going to future lives, past lives, whether it's extraterrestrials, whether it's Bigfoot, Atlantis, all of these things, Loch Ness Monster. She's finding all these commonalities from all these people who never met each other before. And so she would just put down the recorder and record what was going on, and then she'd just transcribe it and make these books out of it. And it's very, very interesting. So she taught a lot of what you're saying right now is a lot of information that she came across. See, this is one of my exciting, I get so excited when I find out about these different spiritual teachers talking about the same stuff through different perspectives. They just have different terminologies. And you go, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And she talks about the Akashic records. She talks about how people will be in this library, and it's the same kind of library these people appear in, and there's a guide that helps them along, and they get to go, okay, what do you want to know about? And they go into the Akashic records, and she said it's like a woven tapestry, but it's like breathing, and it's this organic thing that's got every single thing that's written down. And that's where she also talks about that, we've got all of these infinite possibilities happening at all times, and it's just kind of up to us to go, all right, which reality am I going to sort of align myself with and bring about, and what is going to serve me. So it's really, I'm getting a big kick out of all the stuff that you're saying, because I'm also simultaneously thinking back in my brain of things that I've read, and I'm going, yeah, this is great, man. It's like going ding, 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 ding. It's really cool.
So Brahma opens his eyes, right? Brahma, Hinduism.
Oh, yeah.
Brahma opens his eyes and a world comes to being. A world. Closes his eyes and a world starts to be. Now, every time he does this, a world is created. And this creation goes for 26,000 years. And then it's a big. And then another one is created. But he's doing this for 360 divine years. Divine years is about 90 billion years. Us.
Interesting.
So now, when he opens his eyes, the world is created. Now think about the universe or the galaxy. So we're traveling, right? Nothing is happening. We're traveling through space. This moment is like full already past. We're just recopulating. We just remembering wherever. Like when you're in the moment, then you're enlightened. And then you see everything that is going on. Yeah. But we're not. Or I'm not. So we're just copulating everything that just happened. And 20 minutes from now, we don't even know. But we do know it's 20 minutes ago. How do we know? Nasir Haramein says, because we're living how to say, we live in the signal, or we live in the path behind us. Everything is going in a spiral. Everything is traveling in a spiral.
So we sort of revisit things too.
So we're going through space. We're traveling to space. So when I pick you up, that's billions and billions of years behind. Wow. No years, like miles, let's say. Wow. On the space. From the time that I pick you up until right now, we're traveling in a spiral. Right? But as we're traveling, we're leaving behind the path like in a spiral. Back to what you were saying with these people that can go back and see the Akasha records. Nassim Haramein says it's because when you remember something, you're actually putting yourself back in that place.
Interesting.
And so you can get rid of our phobias, you can get rid of a lot of this. Because when you go back, you can now give it a different meaning.
It's so funny. I was talking about this the other day. Now you can kind of redefine it and remember it how you wanted to have remembered it, right? You're rewriting it, right?
You rewrite it, you give it a different meaning. Now it doesn't affect you because it's a different meaning. You're not even thinking about it.
Incredible.
It's just different now. You're not reacting. It's just like, oh, okay. Got it.
That's incredible.
But the reason you can do that, according to Nassim, is because you can actually go back and recreate. Put yourself as a spirit, put yourself back on there. Recreate everything that happened. So now, with the NLP, you go back, you give a different meaning. And now that you come back, they ask you, well, what about snakes? And you're like, what snakes? But what about spiders? What about your dad? How you feel about your dad? And you're like, I love him. He's my dad. Because you went through the whole hypnosis, changed the meaning. You realized that now it's your turn and you pretty much are doing the same shit your dad used to do. And now you put your shoes on, yourself in his shoes and you start to see this and you're like, holy shit. And now that all the trauma that you had with your dad, it's like, it actually helped me to be the man that I am, whether he was there or not. Because you went back and you changed all these meanings and now you come back and
it is so fascinating.
Isn't it?
It is. Now imagine if actual therapists talked about this stuff, imagine if this that we're talking about right now was the most dominant and prominent information on the television waves and the airwaves and could you imagine the minds that would not be addicted to these medications? All they'd have to do is, trust in their own ability to redefine things, to be the alchemists that we're born to be, turn the lead into gold, as they say. And it's so helpful.
I picked up an older guy yesterday, And we're talking, and he's using all these metaphors and all these words. And I'm like, I said, so he's retired. And I asked him, so what do you do for you? Or what do you do? He goes, no, I'm a psychologist. I was like, oh, interesting. I said, probably putting a helm. He goes, yeah, I still volunteer. Then we can be something. Also, that's great. And I asked him, I said, so when you get a client, how do you help them? And he goes, what do you mean? I say, yeah, no. Somebody has a trauma, somebody has a problem. How do you help them? And he goes, well, I always tell my clients that you need to take it easy. And you need to be happy. I said, yeah, but how do you help? And he couldn't tell that. And I said, okay.
Interesting.
And then I said, I guess it's like all the problems that we have are not subconscious mind. I use that word. And so once we identify that, we can help and change that, because it's called an unconscious mind. Remember bipolar?
Oh, yeah.
He's watching.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah. I said, so how do you? And then he starts telling me, explain to me. Well, that's nice, man. That's what I just told you. I love it. And I said, that's what I just told you. Thank you. I know what you told him. But now I'm dealing with a professional.
Oh, I see.
Right?
I see.
Listen, he's the one who went to college.
Right.
He was saying, I still says the symptom. But he studied the symptoms, pathology. He studied pathology, but he doesn't, I guess not everyone, but at least this guy, the impression that I got is like, he doesn't know how to cure the pathology. He knows about the pathology, but don't know the techniques or what can you do to change that.
Wow. It's funny, I saw a video the other day where someone asked a series of these, psychologists and therapists, and they go, how many patients have you cured? None of them. They had an answer. They go, well, actually none. Are you taught to not cure it? Or are you taught to just keep them on the line so you keep getting more money from these guys, Are you guys really going down into the roots and trying to, mess with the wires there and trying to help them out or what, It's interesting because imagine if these guys utilize these techniques, if they went to some of these Anthony Robbins seminars and read some of these books.
I had a lady that I met at one of these seminars with Tony on Springs, and she was a psychologist. And we just started talking, and she told me exactly what she goes, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to use all these things.
Great.
Yeah. And she goes, this is a great. She goes, I wish they teach us this, in school. Wow. But they don't do it. I was like, yeah, what are you going to do? Fuck them up?
Yeah.
They're ready for stuff. Yeah, right.
Oh, this is perfect. Wow, man. I had a great time talking to you. What's your name again? Eduardo. Oh, my gosh. I'm Kurt. It's a pleasure to meet you, my spiritual
too.
brother.
Oh, thank you.
And wise guide. Thank you for listening to another exciting episode of Inspirado Projecto. Thank you to Superhero for your promo. Thank you, Jay Asaang, for your promo. He is in Twin Peaks: The Return he plays the guy in there who has like the toxic sludge that falls out of his mouth in the jail cell. Man Behind the Machine, you got to check out his podcast. Very good stuff. A lot of interesting AI news. And of course, Micky Dolenz from the Monkees. Thank you so much, you guys, for contributing to Inspirado Projecto. And I'm going to leave you, the listener, you who have stuck around for the Easter egg, I'm going to leave a phone call that I got from the folks over at Chris Store Inc.
They're also part of the Varels Bridge Society. They left a message on the hotline. So you too can be a part of Inspirado Projecto. You could just leave a message, leave a strange story, a dream, UFO sighting. Call the hotline, 561-203-9179. Leave a message on there. Also, I'm on tour with Yachtley Crew right now. I'm standing in front of the tour bus. Yachtley Crew, Yachtley Crew. We are a yacht rock band. We play your favorite 80s music. And we are touring across the country. So keep your eyeballs out for that. All right. Take care. Stick around. You'll hear a little Easter egg. Thanks for listening to Inspirado Projecto.
This is Atlas the Dragon. I am calling once more in behalf of Nonchalance and Varels Bridge Society. I am here in Crossville, Tennessee, and I have found something absolutely magnificent. Find your way. It's not hard. All you have to do is look inside. Remember, you're listening to Inspirado Projecto.